If you've gone through narcissistic abuse, you have insight that, others are just now finally coming to. And we keep going to these people we have designated as the power brokers. When we're believing that white supremacy is a thing, when we're giving it validity instead of, we need to start invalidating it. Not even through our eloquent words and all of our examples, but in our energy. That speaks. And that's what is so attractive. That's what's so attractive to the cult of America is energy. And to all cults, anyone who's been in a cult, they've been attracted to energy. They stay in because of energy, the way that the leader speaks, the words, the vocabulary. It's a spell. So I watched 2 videos today and it got me thinking. The first was this video, which I see circulate every now and then. By the way, happy Black History Month. And it's actually a video about this man who, he's waited so long to enter a segregated space and to sit at the on the bar and not be in some designated spot in the back, some shameful, shadowy space, and be up in center and enjoy this meal. And I think he actually wasn't even allowed in this restaurant at this time. I think this might have been a whites only restaurant. And he sits to have his meal and he's like, this is what I fought for. This is what so many of us have fought for and died for. It doesn't even taste good. And I kind of took a week back. I said, I'm not going to, turn the other cheek and look the other way while all this craziness is going on, like I felt I needed to the first presidency. I don't even like saying his name. And I don't want my content, going to weird places. But so yeah, I said I wasn't going to, kind of look the other way and check out. I said, I'm going to check in, I'm going to clock in. And there's a couple ways I'm doing that, and I'll share more about that later. But I did find myself just naturally not tuning into social media, not tuning into the news as much. I recognize, I think Monday, I kind of need some balance here, whether that's tuning in every other day. And so I said, okay, maybe every 2 to 3 days, I'll tune back in, see what's going on, and I'll keep a light touch. And I think we're all trying to find that balance so that we don't burn out, because obviously that is their strategy at this moment. And so I found myself just naturally not feeling that pull, because I had said I wanted to feel balanced, to feel nurtured, to feel rested, to put energy into the ways that I wanted to help, which I'll tell you about later. And so I just naturally, because my intention, I didn't feel that pull towards that. But I tuned back in today and I'm like thinking about this video. This is like the first video I see when I open Instagram for like the first time in a few days. And I'm just like, in this past week, I just felt, and I was having such meaningful conversations with a cousin of mine, and we were just seeing so many parallels in our lives and things that don't have words, like there's no explanation for them. Yes, sorrow, pain, suffering, trauma, all of that. And then also the ways that we find each other those of us with such strong hearts find each other and create pockets of joy. And it is the same, it's this kind of, it's the micro, I'm witnessing the micro, the things that I've seen in my life now on the macro. And the same need for us to maybe go about this differently. And I'm wondering, if you've gone through narcissistic abuse, you have insight that, others are just now finally coming to. And I think many of us have experienced narcissistic abuse and we didn't have the word for it. We've encountered narcissists in our lives and we didn't have the word for it. We just know that interaction, that relationship, that person, that situation felt off. And I may not know why, but it felt off. Sometimes we blame ourselves. We have shame around even having gone through it. But as you start to learn and you develop this new glossary of understanding and terminology and like, oh, okay, that's what I was experiencing, you have so much insight to give. And so those of us who've gone through that and consciously gone through that experience, we can kind of step back and see what's going on here in this cult that is America. Not all of America, but some of us kind of feel, against our will, we're in this cult, and how do we get out of it? And I think about, just how do you get out of any narcissistic relationship if you can get out? And even if you can't, there are things that we do to preserve ourselves and preserve our spirit that I think could help, all of us during this time. And so, of course, some of us, we just go no contact. Like, if you can, you exit and you get out and you create distance and space. But what do you do when you're just kind of stuck? You can't run off. You can't move to another country. You can't. And even if you could, you don't want to. You don't want to give malignancy or a disease room to spread. What do we do? And it comes back to that video. That man who had waited so long to go and have a seat at this place where he was deprived and shunned, and to find out this meal sucks. This is what you're gatekeeping. And I do believe that so much of what we're fighting for is not even the nourishment that we think we want. What I am resting in, the awareness that has come to me, is what if we already have everything that we want? And that doesn't mean you have the car you want, the house you want, but the life, the aliveness that your spirit is actually hungry for, that is available to you regardless of what's going on, regardless of what you have or don't have, whatever others are depriving you of, or the things that people are trying to strip from us right now. The actual brilliance of life can never be stripped. What they can do is try to suffocate your spirit so much so that you don't come up to draw breath. But if we can remember and even just rest in this question of, what is life exactly? Is it really to get all these things? And it's not to say the material things are not beautiful and, manifesting them, creating them, going for them, hustling, creating, but it's how we do things. And this might be an opportunity for us to, start to ask these questions. yes, I want abundance. Yes, I want security. Yes, I want to be able to love who I love. Yes, I want to feel like I can walk down my neighborhood and not feel like who knows what's going to pop out of the corner, right? I want to feel safe. There's so much that our society has already afforded us. We've built something great, but is there room for improvement? Have we actually gotten to the crux of what it means to be alive as a species? Have we really tasted the fullness of life? And I can tell you this as someone who maybe doesn't have a lot of material things. You know, I feel abundant. And the best, it's really made me question a lot of the goals that I reach for and the angst that we sometimes feel when we're not there yet. It's really, you know, I've had to kind of step back and consider, okay, when I get to this next landmark, I'm gonna want the next thing, and then gonna want this. It's kind of like when you get a Christmas gift as a kid and it doesn't come with batteries, so then you want batteries, and then you want a friend for the doll, so then you want to get more toys, and then let's get a car to put the toys in. Okay, let's get that. Mom, I want the Jeep, the toy Jeep, and then I want the big one where it can drive around in the right. And so that is our nature. Whenever we get the thing, we're gonna want another thing, and then we're gonna want another thing, then we're gonna want another thing. And so the question is that really all there is? Is that all that we want? Is that all that we want? To keep wanting and wanting and wanting and wanting. Of course, there's another way of going through the journey of wanting and creating and wanting. It's a more peaceful, you're still in the wanting, but you're not attached to the wanting. And I don't like the word attachment, because then it brings up other things of, okay, so then we kind of get sneaky with it, like, okay, I'm not attached but I actually am. We can get a little sneaky with it. Let me see if I can find the right word. The wanting still remains there, but we're present with what is here. It's almost like you know that it's already fulfilled, and so why focus on not, trying to get it, Instead, you're resting in this completeness of it and following life, following the energy of life, the energy of vitality, allowing yourself to show up infused with this energy. And I'm saying the word energy, but really what it is allowing yourself to flow with your deeper self, allowing yourself to be, right? To just be the creator that you are without the angst of the want and not sure if it's gonna happen, And in that way of being, we remember we're here, we're alive. This moment is sacred. This moment is beautiful. This moment is amazing. This moment is unique. This moment is, oh my gosh, I'm here. I'm alive. I draw a breath. And in this way, our life becomes, it's like fizzy. It's fizzing. And you can feel this new excitement. It's almost like you can feel the spirit, the consciousness within everything, the objects, the people you meet. It feels this richness comes about. And when you're in this state, you remember, or you realize, I have everything. I have everything to create anything, and I don't feel the need to create. It's not creating in that sense anymore. It's just, it flows out of me. I'm going to ground this with a personal example. So I've always considered myself a writer since I was maybe like, I want to say like 8 years old. I've always considered myself to be a writer, maybe 8 or 7. I remember in 2nd or 3rd grade, I think it was 3rd grade, I had a book assignment. In my English class, we had to write our book, and I wrote my first book. Everyone in the class wrote their first book, I imagined to be their first book. But it was so amazing because we got to illustrate it. Mine was called Snow, Snow, Snow by Unique Bell. And it was about my first experience of snow. I was born in Jamaica. I moved here around the age of 7, and I've always loved reading as a kid, but I got to finally get my first book, and it was published, hardcover. I mean, literally, it looks like a book you could pull off the shelf in the library. And I was just so exciting as a kid. And so I've always considered myself a writer. But something happened to me. Someone is playing their radio really loud on the street, so you might pick up the audio, but it's okay. Anyways, something happened to me. I feel like after I did that book, I got cold feet. I just felt this pressure. You know, I had all this praise from my teacher. Oh my gosh, your writing is so beautiful. And then I just kind of went, oh, like, no, it always needs to be perfect. And it started to build up as this thing where it's like, I don't want to be bad now. Now that I've been good at this, I don't want to be bad. And so I don't want to create something or complete something at the risk of being bad. And it took a long time for me to get back into creative writing. I think I took my next kind of creative writing course in high school, and I loved that. And then in my AP comp class, that was composition, English and composition, we did a lot of projects, and I love that. It's really like if I was in school and I had to do it, then of course I had to complete it. You know, I was kind of like a straight A student, except for one class. I was straight A's from 5th grade till the end, but you get it. This perfectionist in me didn't want to do this separate from school, right? And it wasn't until college again that I started to creatively write. But again, it was through a course. But I started a book in college. And ever since, I have been carrying this book. I mean, it's been about 8 years. I've been carrying this book, or maybe 9 years. Yeah. And I've been carrying, yes, I've been carrying this book and this idea of this book for all that time, and have not gotten myself to work on it. Sometimes I will 1 year, then it'd be like another year before I continue. But I finally am writing again this year, and there's something different that I did this year. I did New Year's resolutions, but differently. And you can take this idea if it resonates with you. I kind of listed the things that I want to do, the habits that I wanted to do, not just the things, but the habits that I wanted to form, and gave them a metric. So I want to write every day. Okay, instead of every day, okay, let's say 365 writing sessions, because I know I'm not going to probably write every day while I'm building up this. There's an amazing term for this, bias for action. So while I'm building up the bias to write, the habit to write, I know I probably won't do it every day, but let's say 365 sessions, which means I could double up whenever, you know, it becomes a habit, and get these counts. I call it my New Year's counts. And so there's many habits, and then I've set a number. It's just a number I'm pulling out of the air, like 200. I want to do 200 weightlifting sessions. So not every day, every few days, or twice, 2 out of 3 days. And so I'm writing again, and this has been an annual goal every single year since I've graduated. I'm gonna finish this book. I'm gonna finish this book. I'm gonna finish this book. And now it's like I've given up this kind of perfectionism in a lot of the way I see things. And now the writing, I've actually started with poems. And I know that soon I'll get back to the book, but I've been writing, and it's not something I'm telling myself I have to do every day. I just do it. I just feel this. It's so easy. It's so natural. I don't think about it. It's like a word starts to come, and then I have my notebook and I begin to write it down. I'm receiving it just as I like to receive my messages for my videos, my meditations, but it's bringing this practice of just receiving and flowing, letting this life, this vitality flow through me. And I've known that this is the way the best creations have been made, I think since college. And so like for like 10 years now, I've known this. I just know this in my bones. Creation is an act of receptivity. It's receiving from the divine source, God, whatever you want to call it, but it's a receiving. And it's not a like looking at all the facts, looking at all the techniques and like racking your brain. If you could actually relax, right? Yes, study, yes, learn, but then allow the universe to work through you. Allow it to flow through you and trust that it's like just allowing this magic that we have to come together. Trust that it's going to come through. And it's actually the second that I start to doubt what I'm receiving, that I feel like I'm losing it. The writing is not as good. And then I look back and I'm like, oh my gosh, when I really do receive well, I look back and I go, I wrote that. That was really good. And now I go, that was some good receiving. But the biggest barrier to this is we doubt that it's going to happen, that we're going to receive unless we are kind of in it, racking our brains and micromanaging every little piece of it. And I know this is going to sound reckless. This is going to sound reckless, but it's similar to the techniques I found that work for dealing with those who have narcissistic personality disorder, because it's such a confounding twist of the human psyche and imagination. And we see it on the news. We see it when we try to listen to Orange Man. You can't even find a way to talk to someone with this disorder. It is so difficult. Every word is twisted into something else. It's like you're putting your words through a creative machine and reality gets diluted and folded up, and then it comes out different. And sometimes the initial pieces you put in are what comes out, but it's being used in a very interesting way. All meaning is gone now, and it is the most difficult thing to go through. And I found the best way is actually to surrender to my deeper self, allow myself to be led instead of trying to guess what craziness is coming next. Go to my center of power and surrender and let go. Don't try to figure it out. Don't try to make sense of literally something. I'm thinking of like a machine, like you put something in and it's going to come out as nonsense. You put sense in, nonsense is coming out. So you keep trying. You're going to be playing the circus game for the next 4 years. Right? And oh my gosh, the time we'll lose. The time we'll lose. And so, what if everything that we want is already here? It's already here. And I'm not talking about the car, the home, but like the actual meat of the existence that we're trying to get to. What if it's already here? It's actually that richness of presence. And we keep going to these people we have designated as the power brokers, those in power. You know, it's like something that I think about. It's like we're trying to fight white supremacy by validating it as a real thing. And I don't mean like, oh, it's not real conceptually. Sure it is, but it's not real. It's not real. So I live in the New York City metropolitan area, and sometimes you encounter people who, for whatever reason, they're struggling with different mental health issues. They might start to yell or fight with something that isn't there on the street. And it's like, what if we, although this could be very charming, I think, if, you know, you see someone fighting with something on the street and there's obviously nothing, something they've imagined, and you go in and you start punching the air as well. And it's charming. There's this togetherness within that. And certainly, you know, the thing with hate is it is a form of attachment. I learned that from Dr. C from Surviving Narcissism, the channel Surviving Narcissism. Hate is a form of attachment. And so there's something in that. And like, it's a way that we're relating. By hate, like I'm still attached to you. I'm still relating with you through hate. And so there's something, I guess, a little charming about that. But it's ineffective. It's really ineffective to go in and start punching the air with this person. If anything, they might intensify their fight. Like, oh, you see it too? Let's stomp this out. And so what if we stop pretending that this was real? It's as real as each and every single one of us makes it real. And I actually want to add here that when we stop believing in white supremacy, that means we stop believing that there's something we need to defend ourselves against. Now, that doesn't mean that there isn't work that needs to be done to secure our rights, but we stop feeling that there's something real here on a deep spiritual level, that we are being threatened, our existence is being threatened. And if you listen to or watch my last video on fear, how at the root of all fear is a fear of annihilation, a fear that we're going to cease to be. I really believe that when we're believing that white supremacy is a thing, when we're giving it validity instead of seeing it as I love the term, the spin-off of man's consciousness, just like a twirly thing, nonsense that got churned out of the nonsense machine, then how we show up energetically, how we take up space, I liken this to when I had to confront one of the narcissists in my life, someone I really looked up to, and realizing the gaslighting, the lying, the abuse, and coming to realize you're not someone to look up to. I no longer look up to you. Okay? We're no longer, we're not boxing in the same weight class. You know what I'm saying? Like if you ever do wrestling, we're not in the same weight class. I no longer look up to you. And when you show up from that other energy of, oh, I just remembered my power. I just remember my worth. Like the spell is broken. The spell is broken. And I truly, honestly believe every time we're here arguing about white supremacy and writing our dissertations online in our friend groups or wherever you're having these conversations, oh, like it's obvious. I'm going to tell you right now. They know. Friends, they know. And the more that you're spinning in your in your head, spinning in your circle, looking for all the examples, see, and let me go back in history and pull it for you, lest we forget. They already know. They already know. They already know. I just realized my mic was off. My apologies. So the audio probably dropped out. But they know. They already know. They already know. They already know. And so we don't need to spend as much time validating it. We need to start invalidating it. Not even through our eloquent words and all of our examples, but in our energy. That speaks. And that's what is so attractive. That's what's so attractive to the cult of America is energy. And to all cults, anyone who's been in a cult, they've been attracted to energy. They stay in because of energy, the way that the leader speaks, the words, the vocabulary. It's a spell. And we need to start making shifts in our own energy and how we hold this weight. I saw someone beautifully state one of the ways that we can do this is through humor, making fun. And it's like you strike the right balance. You're not like excessively insulting people, but make them feel silly. This is a really silly thing to believe. What? White supremacy? That's silly. You got it? You got it. Okay, back to the video. And I really think this is the Uno reverse card that those who have tried to say race, racism, that isn't real, all these structured ways of discriminating isn't real, it's not happening, the DEI of it all. What would it look like for us to stop validating this thing by arguing about it and fighting about it? And I'm still getting my thoughts together on this, because this really is a philosophical, a physical, as in relating to physics, a physics related question here of what is real and what isn't, and how does our awareness or focus make it so. And I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. I don't have a cooked together formula on this or anything. It's not baked, it's still in the oven. But I just wanted to make this video because it's okay to not be perfect and to ponder with you. And maybe what it is the weight with which we put behind it. the fear that we put behind it, the weight that we put behind it, and the thinking that we won't get what we want, or somehow this ideology can actually deprive. And I'm not saying that it hasn't historically, absolutely it has, but we are not recreating the history. I know a lot of people are saying that, but the energies have shifted, right? They're not going to be able to pull a wool over our eyes. We know the history. We know they're pulling tactics. And so this is our opportunity to kind of move in a smarter way, an emotionally intelligent way. Because what I've found is you can't really reform a narcissist, but what you can do is hold your own center of gravity. So much so that you're like, boom, and everything else just falls to you, right? Everything else anchors in, right? And so rather than playing around in the mud, we all need to, I think, I find benefit in removing myself and allowing the narcissistic individual come and meet me where I am. So it's like you can only catch me when you're on my wavelength. Otherwise, I'm kind of focused in elsewhere. And so this actually brings us to the next thing I wanted to talk about. And will I share the second video that I saw? I think the moment has passed. It connected back to something I already said, and I'm not going to backtrack. But the second thing I want to talk about is the fact that I think the thing that we're struggling with the most is that, yes, many people who believe in or in the cult, they aren't able to understand. And it reminds me of like when a child is frustrated. If you're working with children, I've worked with children in the past, and so let's say you're dealing with like a 7-year-old or a 5-year-old, and they can get so frustrated when they're not understanding, but everyone else is. If they maybe have gotten this message that not understanding or making a mistake, not being brilliant at something right away means that you're stupid, you're not gonna be able to go far. Or even, maybe a parent has said, education doesn't matter, this is what matters, working in the family business or doing this, doing that. And so it reminds me, when I see a lot of the discourse, it kind of reminds me of that many of us are working from our childlike, traumatized brain and have not, done the healing work. And so we are trying to reach those of us who have done the work. We're then trying to reach people and getting frustrated, like, how could they react this way? And it's not to demean them or belittle them, but it's like, right, I need to maybe package this differently. Maybe not always, maybe some of us do need to keep it at the high level of understanding that it is, but could we have spaces where, this is actually not what I wanted to say. Okay, this is it. Could we have spaces or a general shift in the way that we, so what I've noticed with the narcissistic spectrum, with NPD, and I'm not a psychologist, I can't diagnose anyone, I'm just speaking from personal experience. But what I've noticed is everyone wants to be loved. Everyone wants to feel, or maybe not, maybe loved isn't really the word, but we want to feel good. We want to feel like good people. And those who do have NPD usually rationalize what they do by villainizing others, or saying, You made me do this. You made me abuse you. You made me act poorly. So there's something within our human design where even the worst of us want to be good, right? And so I just think that's something interesting. That is so interesting, and something that we could use collectively in times like this. What we're battling for is the right to feel good. And so you have people who have hateful ideology, but they still want to feel good. They still want to feel like good people. And whenever you make them feel like a bad person by pointing out that they're racist, they're hateful, they're this or that, they come back with aggression, right? Kind of like a kid who's frustrated. They're not picking up on things, so they let out that frustration with aggression. But it's adults who are letting it out with violence, whether that's actual violence or systemic violence. And so, but you have these people who want so much to feel like a good person that if you make them, to them, you are the one making them feel bad, they want to pummel you because they want to feel like a good person. I just think that's interesting. And then on the opposite end, because I do believe there are those who are liberals who are also narcissistic, right? Who use virtue to control in a different way, right? Like I've set the meter of what it means to be compassionate and good. And if you're not doing these things, if you're not reading these books, if you're not looking at it this way, you're a problem. And so there's this different kind of control. And I get to now choose who is good and who is bad. Are you bad? Are you doing this right? Are you educating yourself right? Are you educating yourself like me? Right? I now become the forebearer. And so it's like, it's interesting. We all recognize on both sides, we all want to be good people, but our minds are not set up for us to act out this desire in the same way. Do I have any additional thoughts on that? What it means? What should we do? I'd love to hear your theories. As I was reflecting on this earlier today, I thought, well, what if we changed the criteria for goodness in our society? Maybe make it a little bit more lax. And I know that seems scary. It seems scary. It feels like we're going to let all the bad in if we don't stop pushing against and holding to our very high, high standards of goodness. But maybe you don't need to know and understand every single perspective or experience. And I do honestly feel that this is a valid pain point to those who feel like wokeness is a violent attack on their well-being, because it's asking of them something that they don't feel equipped to do, whether it's because they don't have the same level of education, they can't take part in those conversations confidently, they have all this shame programming or belief systems from their family that has caused them not to value educating themselves in the same way. And so wokeness feels like an attack on their goodness because it's something that's inaccessible, right? I'm not going to pass that class and I don't want to feel like a bad person, so I'm going to pummel you. And so what if we were a little bit more open with our love? That doesn't mean we let everyone in, but we become a little bit more lax with ourselves. Can we still be compassionate beings if we're not perfect in how we show up and perfect in our understanding of other cultures and other people? but we are open to correction. Perhaps what we should be emulating to the other side or to ourselves and each other is that openness to correction, to make mistakes and get things wrong and allow life to flow through us. Maybe we'll start writing a new story because we're no longer trying to get it perfect. Maybe we'd see less performing, less performative wokeness or social action. And maybe we'd all kind of remember our humanity and not feel like we need to rush to feel like good people by performing the work, but actually do the work. Be the work. Be such a compassionate space that when you make a mistake, you still love yourself, you forgive yourself, and you can own up to your mistakes, because no one has anything that you really, really need, right? The love that you need, that comes from inside. I hate to say it. It's already here. That ease that you're looking for, that you think is going to come with the new home, the new car, it's already here. You can feel it now. And so if we're no longer looking or waiting to get that seat at the bar and have that meal that we've been deprived that actually doesn't taste that good anyways, we make better food ourselves. If we're no longer that hungry and depraved and buying into that story that there is a power broker and we have no power, then we can really create something beautiful as humans. Then life can really begin. I think what's wearing us down the most is trying to convince someone else of our worthiness, our acceptability, our goodness. And we're all doing it. We're all doing it. Narcissists do it by trying to prove to you that you're bad. So in the twisted machine, it comes out to be, see, if I can get you to believe that you're bad and you're horrible, then you will start to believe that I'm good and I'm great, right? And so if we no longer do that, we don't play in that equation, then we feel good within ourselves. We're not looking for it from the outside, and we can start to maybe create something differently. And I honestly think that when you establish this energy, the universe responds. And here's the thing, the universe responds to all of us. As soon as we're in alignment, it doesn't matter if we've done bad, we're evil to our core, the universe responds to all of us. And so there is no real power broker that can separate you from your true power. And so yeah, those are my thoughts. We're all wanting to be good. We're all wanting to be good people. We're all going about it a little bit differently. But there's something touching about that. Narcissists and empaths alike, we all want to be good. And I would love this to be a conversation. So I'm not going to give you takeaways of how do I apply this to my life. I'd love to hear from you. What are your thoughts on this? Comment below and let's talk. Let's talk about it, because I don't have all the answers. We all do. All right, and so I want to actually share some of the ways I'm clocking in and stepping up in this season. And it's actually through a multiple, I've just kind of weaved it into what I've already been doing, because I think we all are doing something right now that can help. And it's just making, room for our vision of more harmony and opportunity for all of us. Number one, so I am a spiritual guide. I'm also an intimacy coach. And I am here to help you connect to your deeper self through meditations and teachings. And so I have my Deeper Self podcast. The first season is out right now. If you're someone who is looking to connect to the soul of who you are and learn how to let life flow through you, everything that we talked about just now. This practice is something I live and breathe, and something that has saved my life and really helped me through the narcissistic relationships that I've had and, continue to have to negotiate and manage. I think it's no coincidence that this has been a massive chapter of my spiritual awakening, and as I chose to heal my codependency, it's like I kicked over a hornet's nest, but from it I've gotten a lot of sweet honey. And do hornets make honey? Maybe that's just bees. So maybe I kicked over a beehive, but I've gotten a lot of sweet honey. And so I have the sweets of that practice for you to enjoy, whether that's through the podcast, or you can also purchase the daily meditation and also take the challenge. And I also just recently released, just last month, a free masterclass called One Step Manifesting, Co-Creating with the Deeper Self. And I put a lot of my personality that I don't always share here into that masterclass. It was a lot of fun to record, so hopefully you get a lot of laughs out of that. I don't know, when I'm in like a teaching or speaking, I just feel more contemplative. So a lot of my humor is in the masterclass if you'd like to check it out. But I've also decided to start offering donation-based coaching. So like I said, I am a certified intimacy coach. Or I guess I didn't say this, but I am a certified intimacy coach. I specialize in women's sexuality, somatic healing, men's sexuality as well, though I primarily have worked with women in the past, and simply helping people get in tune with themselves. I studied specifically Tantra, so a tantric approach to sexual intimacy and bringing that spiritual element, using energy to build sensitivity, pleasure sensitivity in the body, and combining these kind of different worlds of, well, I guess it's not so different now. Many people talk about the correlation between the spiritual and science, right? The physical. But it's what I studied in college and what continues to delight me. And it's something I weave into my creative writing a lot. And so this is me. And so I'm offering donation-based. I'm calling it donation-based, but it's not technically a donation. It's not something you can put on a tax form or anything. But it's just pay what feels good. Pay what feels good coaching. And I'm going to leave the link to that in the description. But you can receive coaching on any topic. Like I said, I specialize in intimacy, women's sexuality, men's as well. But a lot of reparenting work, inner child work, learning how to face tough emotions and process them through the body. And I'll leave a list, or actually, as soon as you sign up, there will be an email form. Then it'll take you to my calendar and you can review. It's like a quick 3-question questionnaire. Your name, and then the options of, what do you want coaching on? Because it's just one session, so let's focus in. Pick one thing that you want to work on. And obviously, I also help spiritually. So if you desire to connect to your deeper self, or maybe you call it your higher self, or that inner being, or that space of presence, whatever term resonates for you. So I'm going to be offering coaching, and it's pay what feels good. There's going to be a list of topics. So maybe you're dealing with a breakup, maybe you want to get relationship clarity. I just want to be able to support you, because I know that the toughest part about this is that we all have things that have we've all been living life, right? And things that have been going wrong or things we need support on. And so this can really compound. And I know that there's people who it's like you were already on your last like straw, right? And so this just kind of takes it to a next level. So I want to support you. Okay, so I still get a little bit nervous when I am like pitching my offerings, so bear with me. I wanted to elaborate. So yes, I'm an intimacy coach, but I also can support you in a variety of topics. So reparenting, inner child work, worthiness wounds. I'm like just saying them as if they're not huge deals to work on, but just to give you a quick peek into what I can help you with. So anything to do with loving yourself, finding yourself, if you have struggled with codependency, shame, whether that's toxic shame, and especially like sexual shame, religious sexual shame, very relevant right now. Those are like I love doing that. I love doing that work. That is joy. To help people come back from that, to help people come back from feeling, oh, internalized racism, yep. That is joy. It is so beautiful. It is the most gratifying experience to watch you, dear one, find your ability to love yourself unconditionally and source that love from within and to release. And also because shame can get so blown up into this big boogeyman and we don't know how to approach it, because it's shame we're dealing with. It's even more challenging than anger, than rage. And so those are like my specialties. Like, yeah, come to me for that. You know what I mean? Come to me for that. So I love that work. If you're struggling with any of those, and this can, be specific to sexuality, it is what my coaching is centered on, but it doesn't have to be. And some of like my favorite work with clients, they think like it's so unrelated, and they're like, I didn't even know this would help my sex life or help my relationship, because it seemed unrelated, but it's intimacy is how we're expressing ourselves. And if we're constricted in any way, then we're going to be constricted in how we can relate to others with our bodies, to ourselves. It's just my favorite thing. And so, yeah, I just wanted to expand on that and give you a delicious invitation to come and work with me. And yeah, I've been focused on the spiritual aspects. So if you've been following the channel, I can help you expand your intuition, connect to your deeper self, awaken, all that stuff. That's fun. That's all fun. But yeah, get back into the video. But it's donation based up to $200, and it's a 45-minute session. So if you're someone who can give more and just would like to support me and my work, thank you, and also receive coaching. Maybe you're not ready for a full 3-month, 6-month journey, but you want to still contribute and get some coaching, sign up for that as well. And so I'm going to be honest, I've never done this before. I don't know how quickly spots will fill up. I don't know. We're gonna just see how it goes. Handle the technical difficulties as it comes up. I'll add to the calendar, add spots as I see things are filling up and as I see I have energy and time. Yeah. And so if you need coaching and you're able to pay a few bucks or whatever you have, whatever extra income you have, come on in. And I'm also going to be opening up the Accessing the Deeper Self spring series. So I've actually created a pre-program of about 10 sessions. So technically the program begins in March, at like the first week of spring, but I've actually added a whole bunch of bonus sessions, and it doesn't cost extra. In fact, I'm running a little bit of a sale currently for early enrollment, and I'm also offering an extended payment plan. And in this webinar series, if you listen to the Deeper Self podcast, I shouted it out like crazy. Come into the webinar series, come into the series, come and join us. I've added even more group coaching. It's almost weekly group coaching. I think 8 of the 10 weeks of the spring program, there will be a accompanying group coaching sessions, but we're really going from exploring the self and giving you tools to access the deeper self. So what are those blocks that usually come up to accessing the deeper self and allowing life to flow through you, as I said? And this, I pull a lot of this from actually my intimacy coaching practice, because it's all the same work. It's all the same work. But I wanted to make this specifically just for accessing the deeper self. But we're using the body, we're using tools and techniques, breath work, somatic tools to give you access to your deeper self and face some of those mental blocks, such as money, right? Feeling limited, like I can't get off of this hamster wheel because I just feel like intense fear around money or lack all the time. Maybe you have resentments. You can't really open your heart because you feel like, right, you're still like, I need to protect myself. I can't trust that, people are going to behave themselves. So you have a hardened heart a little bit, and I get that. But how can I soften into this place of deeper knowing where I can be guided to those relationships? Because there's so much love. And what I've realized is, I almost tipped into that. I don't want nobody around me. And I was talking to my cousin. I realized, wow, I need to work on this because I still have it. I'm still a little prickly. I don't trust everybody. But I still feel very open. I still know that there's a lot of loving people out there. And honestly, this channel has helped with that as well. In the brief connections that I have with people, I don't get too many comments, but in the brief moments of connection, it's like, man, look at that loving stranger out there in the world. There's so many of us. Why worry? Where am I going? I've kind of lost, I don't know, I'm kind of babbling. Oh yeah, so I've opened up the spring series, and so I have additional group coaching for when the series starts, and that is it. We're doing what the title says. I'm teaching you how to access your deeper self. It's like an immersive, intensive 10 weeks, and it's the first part of what I will create into maybe a 3-part series. But for now, accessing the deeper self is out. I haven't created the rest, so this is the first part. And so in these pre-season bonus calls, however, I wanted to tackle tools on grounding, relieving stress, tools to help you to manage everything that's going to come up in the next, well, not everything, I can't predict the future. But tools to better manage what we are all going through collectively, and to feel nourished, give you perspectives, ways of being in your body that can help to soothe all of the tension that I know. As soon as you open a news, as soon as you look at the news, you feel it. We feel it. And we don't want to just close that and never look at it again, right? We have to be awake, aware, and tuned in. May not all the time be all the time tuned in, but we have to tune in a little bit, so we want to have tools to support us in that. And so, okay, check out those 2 offerings. That's what I'm doing now. I've got my paid stuff. If you want to purchase the deeper self meditation, you want to start tuning in and maybe receiving wisdom from your deeper self. And I've also got that donation-based coaching, or pay what feels good coaching, which I'm excited about and excited to see. and excited to meet all of you and see who signs up. And then I also have opened up the webinar, the spring series, early for you to access. Oh my goodness, actually, I have one more thing to add. I've also started to do guided meditations, and by the time this video is released, I may have released my first guided meditation on peace and relaxation. It's a sleep meditation. Touch on the deeper self practice a little bit, but don't worry, you don't have to have gotten the daily meditation or taken the challenge in order to benefit from this free YouTube sleep meditation. So I'm gonna create a section, a playlist called Deeper Self Meditations, and they'll include guided meditations, longer affirmation videos, things that you can put on just during the day to help mellow you out, right? To help you tune back into some space of well-being, right? Some space of ease, help you to soothe your nervous system and relax. And you can just play it in the background throughout your day if you're having a particularly anxious day or you need some support as you are doing the preparations or whatever it is that you're doing to take care of yourself and your loved ones at this time, and you want to stay calm and not, lean too much into panic. So I'm creating those tools and I'll just kind of have them out. I don't have like a regular release date right now. I'm kind of experimenting to see when people are tuning into my YouTube channel, these types of videos. YouTube is pretty new to me. So I am doing my best to learn. So bear with me and just keep an eye on the channel. Put your notifications on, turn the notification bell on so that you can see when new videos are being released. And if you don't already, get on my email list. As we know, it's the best way to stay in touch. It's the best way to hear. And I don't actually send too many emails out. I want to send weekly, but now it's kind of looking like every few weeks. When I get to it, I'll just do a longer newsletter, kind of shouting out all the things that are going on, and highlighting some videos. But it's just a way to make sure that no matter what comes next, I don't know what's going on with the social media apps. We're connected and we're good. We have a way to connect to each other. And, like I said, I've been working on my writing. And so if you love to read, hopefully I'll have something for you to read within the next, who knows? I don't know. I don't know the timeline for this. I don't know when I'll be done, but within the next year, who knows? So yeah, wanted to add also this meditations that I'm creating to support you through this time. All right, I think that's all. So hopefully I've given you a lot to chew on, to think about, to consider, and I want to have this conversation with you. I'll probably make another video on this as I reflect on more on this topic and what I've said here. So let's meet back here and keep talking about it, because the solutions, they're in all of us, and all of us are able to receive that idea, that next piece that will help in shifting out of this dance that we're in and leaving this like push pull, we make a little progress, then they come and take us back, and then we make this progress, and then, all right, what if we can formulate something different? Because we all want to be good. We all want to feel like we belong in some way. And maybe there's a way of doing it sneakily. So narcissists don't even realize it's happening. Oh my goodness. And those who are kind of far gone in the cult maybe don't realize it, but maybe they'll wake up and be like, it feels better here. It feels better here. I wonder why. All right, I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Get the daily meditation to access the deeper self at uniquebell.com/daily meditation. The link is in the description box below.